Start the show. I'm going to be honest.
There we go.
I'm going to be honest, David, with you. Be honest with the folks there on the live chat. Look, usually I meticulously plan these shows. You wouldn't know it from watching us.
Right.
But I meticulously plan these shows. This one is not going to be that way. We're gonna talk about this. In fact, I need people on the live chat right now, youtube.com/LockedOnHornets, to drive the conversation. Where do you want this conversation to go? I could talk about this game all show long. So I want to know. I want to know where your thoughts are this morning. Because I was at the arena until This is not a complaint. I love this. Is amazing what I get to do. But I was there till 12:15. If we played 8 p.m. games, if we were the Golden State Warriors, if we were the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you had half your games on ESPN, it might kill me.
It'd be so annoying.
It wouldn't be annoying at all. It'd be amazing, but we'd probably be doing this show at 10 instead of 8. Rich on the live chat said, nice of you to show up today. Hey, we gave you Del Curry for 20 minutes on Hornets history. How amazing is that? That was the trade-off. We didn't do a live show yesterday, but you got Del Curry for 20 minutes.
Doug, were you able to keep up with our draft challenge while you were at the game last night?
No, you know what? My draft app, it deleted itself off my phone, so I think that disqualifies me from any... No, David won. David won the draft.
I've seen a screenshot.
David won the draft. I checked it. In fact, it was the last thing I did before I closed my eyes, and so it's probably not the best thing to check. So here's the thing, though, David. So I looked into this, right? The one chip challenge. They sell these one chips. They were selling them online, but they're sold out. So now the only place you can get
isn't
them
that crazy?
Are Amazon and eBay. I did not do enough research before Those chips are going for $60 a chip right now. So we got to talk. We got to talk about.
You got to. Well, I don't know. We'll let the people decide. There was a pretty clear agreement.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the people's money. So look, if you want us to spend $60, we'll give it to the Buzzamaniacs. If you want us to spend $60 to see myself and Nick Denning, or really $120, to see myself and Nick Denning eat a chip, then that's what we'll do. But I don't know. I want the people to decide this.
I know what the Dougaholics want. They want that sweaty chip in your face.
All right, let's start the show.
You are Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
I'm just not sure, David, that's a great use of funds. That's all I'm saying. I'm fine with eating the chip.
I mean, I agree with you, Doug, but unfortunately, a deal's a deal. I don't know what to tell you.
This is Locked On Hornets, your daily podcast on the Charlotte Hornets and the NBA. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We had a lot of new followers on Twitter at Locked On Hornets, so if you're listening in for the first time, we do this show Monday through Friday. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, wherever you get your podcast. Just search Locked On Hornets. And we also do this fancy live show on youtube.com/Locked On Hornets at 8 o'clock in the morning. And we've got several people in the nest right now. That's what we call our YouTube live chat. We've got quotes saying, "What up, Nest?" Rich is in the house. Sean's in the house. What up? First-time YouTuber, everyday pod listener. Welcome in, Sean, to the YouTube show. This is going to be a fun one. Even though we're talking about a Hornets loss, there's a lot to dig into in this game. I'm Doug Branson. I'm joined by my colleague, my friend, my co-host, the winner of the Draft.com challenge yesterday, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, David Walker.
That's all true, you guys. If you have not played Draft on the Draft app, it's amazing. And it's super easy to catch on, obviously.
I'm trying. Look, Giannis played well for me. Andre Drummond played well for me. Somebody had 17 points, and now I'm trying to think back on who.
I'll tell you who it was. It was the guy you could stop talking about that we didn't pick. There's a reason
I didn't want to pick. I didn't want to pick. You made me pick him. Okay.
Guess who my last pick was? It was Joel Embiid. He got me 1,000 points.
See, that's at least I take solace in that. I knew I could never have played. Anyway, go to draft.com, sign up, use our promo code LO Hornets today, and you'll get a free game on draft.com. Come play with us. We want to do this draft thing with you guys on the live chat. So check us out and follow us, LOH Doug, for more. Okay. Let's start in Spectrum Center. Cavs in town on Classic Night. The Hornets get down 19-4 early. Looked like they were cruising for a LeBron bruising, but they answer with a 10-0 run of their own. The Hornets offense got a boost from the return of Nick Batum. 15 points, about 17 slam dunks, I think I counted, from Nick Batum. That elbow looked just fine. I think in that, Hornets lead 67-61 at the break. The Hornets got down going into the fourth quarter, and a combination of offensive rebounding and LeBron James's greatness was enough to keep the Hornets at bay. Cavs win 115-107. Hornets have now lost 5 straight to fall to 5-8 on the year. Only their second loss at home this season. Next game will be on Friday in Chicago. David, what were the major differences for you in this game?
I mean, LeBron is obviously going to be a difference in any game he plays in. We can get into that a little more. He causes so much trouble, obviously, when he drives, and you either got to step in and take a charge, which Kemba Walker did on a couple of times. So did MKG. But then he dishes out to those other guys to hit threes. And last night they were hitting threes. Channing Frye, Kyle Korver, even Crowder was hitting them, which he hadn't done a ton. In the first goings of the season here. But, the Hornets, it was the same old thing that we've seen recently. They really couldn't get buckets down the stretch when they needed to. They certainly couldn't get any stops. Again, Doug, what did they score last night? 113? What was the final you said there?
115-107 for the Hornets.
107. So, I mean,
they were going to have to score a lot to beat Cleveland, right? Because Cleveland has an amazing offense, and it starts, of course, with LeBron James. LeBron... He finished with in this one, finished with 31 points, but that's pretty standard. I thought, look, 31 points from LeBron, 22 points from Kevin Love. To me, that's what I expected going into this game. I don't think they lost this game because of LeBron James. I thought they lost this game because of Channing Frye, because of Kyle Korver. Both of those guys stepped up. They stepped up their defense at the end of the third quarter, and then the beginning of the fourth quarter, you just mentioned it, Jeff Green, 4 offensive rebounds, most if not all of those coming when Dwight Howard was not on the floor. Now, I think it's fair.
That's a problem.
I think it's fair.
That's an issue.
Yeah, it's definitely an issue because, for 2 reasons. Dwight Howard has to stay on the floor. He hasn't really found himself in foul trouble too often this season, but you can see the massive effect on their ability to rebound when he is off the floor. So step 1 is he has to stay on the floor. But step 2 is if you're Frank Kaminsky and if you're Jeremy Lamb. I don't want to put all of this on Frank because I saw Lamb miss one on Channing, miss an offensive rebound, couldn't get position, wasn't watching for the block out on Channing Frye on an important offensive rebound and put back. Like you have to pay attention. Look, that second unit, it's the same story as the story was for the entire team last season, which was they're not naturally physical, right? They don't have an MKG on that second unit, and they don't really have a lot of physical presence under the rim on that second unit. So they have to be especially careful and especially mindful of the offensive boards and of teams that crash the glass. That was New York. That was Boston. That was Cleveland. These are 3 teams that love to crash the glass, and the Hornets could do absolutely nothing to stop them. It led to a 7-0 run at the end of the third quarter, led to a 7-0 run to begin the fourth quarter, and here we are playing. You play well. You're up at half. You're up 4 or 5 in the middle of the fourth quarter. Against Boston and against the Knicks, they had the double-digit lead going into the fourth quarter. This one, they were down, but they still give up a lead late. This is not a second-half team right now A lot of reasons for that, though, David. I think it is physicality, but it's also trying to get MKG and Nick Batum reintegrated with this team.
Yeah, to your point, though, when LeBron went out, the Hornets were actually ahead by 3 points with about 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, and then pretty much got blitzed by some of the second unit guys from Cleveland to end that one, and went into the fourth quarter down 4. So, they didn't make any progress when LeBron was out. And by the time Kemba came back in, LeBron came back in about a minute later. I mean, it wasn't a blowout. They were still within reach. Like we've seen so many times before at the end of this game, they had shots, they had looks, and just could not get any to go down, and then really couldn't come up with any stops on the other end. So, I mean, it wasn't a winning prescription for them last night. But, Doug, I do think it is important to remember the Cavs are still really good. They've had their struggles. They've had their issues. But it's still LeBron. It's still a lot of guys with a lot of experience coming off the bench for that team. That second unit has a lot of NBA players that have played in big-time games, which the Hornets, still really don't. They've got to learn from that. They've got to be able to overcome some of that and just play better. But the Cavs are still pretty good.
Walker on the live chat here saying 17 dunks does not equal 15 points, Doug. No! Excuse me. I'm sorry, I didn't major in math. All right, we're going to get back to the live chat. A lot of great stuff going on in the live chat right now on the Nest. Going to get to that in a second. But first, it was classic. Oh, we've got a cameo? Who is this, David?
We've got young James here. He just decided to pop in here. We've got a doctor's appointment coming up, Doug. That's why he's sitting here.
Awesome. Well, hopefully everything goes all right. Get him back on the floor. Yeah. Just real quick, if you love this, so it was classic night last night in Spectrum Center. The classic jerseys, they looked sharp. They looked great. I want to comment on those in a minute. But I know there were a lot of people taking some great pictures last night in Spectrum Center. Hopefully you're tagging our friends at Discovering CLT on Instagram, because if you love the city of Charlotte, maybe you're away from the city and you're feeling homesick, and I know we got a lot of people listening to this show right now overseas. Maybe you just wish you were in Buzz City. You're just curious about Charlotte. Then listen up. Discovering CLT is featuring the best images of our Queen City on Instagram. At Discovering CLT, they highlight the Spectrum Center, Queen Park Social, new restaurant openings like Zeppelin. It's the best way to discover and learn about all things Charlotte. I follow Discovering CLT. David follows Discovering CLT on Instagram, and we share our best photos of Hornets games on there with them. Find out about other local events going on around the city. You can get hip to some new restaurant openings. It's all there to discover at Discovering CLT. Here's what I need everyone to do right now. It doesn't matter if you live in Charlotte or not. Follow at Discovering CLT on Instagram. Tag them at Discovering CLT in your awesome Charlotte Hornets Instagram photos, and throw in the hashtag Buzzamaniacs. Show them what the Nest can do, and you can have your photo featured on their Instagram page, especially the overseas folks. You put your Hornets jerseys on, put your gear on game day, tag Discovering CLT on Instagram, and of course, hashtag Buzzamaniacs as well. All right, let's get back to David real quick. Your thoughts on the jerseys?
I thought they looked really good. I thought they'd pop a little more, to be honest, but maybe that's because they've worn so much teal lately. But yeah, I know, buddy.
He loved them too. James was a big fan of the jerseys.
But there was a big like blowback that these were not accurate enough, man. I thought they were pretty much spot on.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
They're not. How are they different?
Exactly, they're not. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Get out of here with the criticism. Look, the throwbacks are back. I will say this. That I was sort of anti this whole saying they should bring the jerseys back full time. They should bring the throwback jerseys full time. I was anti that. Right. I was like, they need to establish their own brand, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that now I'm moving towards that camp after that game
because it looks so good.
The jerseys look so sharp. That teal color looks so good. Anyway. That it was a fun night. It was a fun night in Charlotte as they celebrate all things 90s. But let's get back to this game. I want to get to the live chat because there's a lot of questions on here. First of all, a few of you bringing up MKG's performance. Double M15 saying MKG was balling Love when he is aggressive. Batum looked really good, but their second unit killed us. Let's go to MKG in this game. 22 points, 10 of 14 shooting, played really well, 6 total rebounds in this one. Had the mid-range jump shot going fully in effect, David. And that's been something, that wasn't just that game. He's been very efficient offensively since return, and even before he left for that second absence, he was playing well. Was 9 of 9 in those first couple of games. MKG offensively, that's going to be an asset for the Hornets if it's sustainable, if that mid-range jump shot continues to go down.
That's my question, Doug. Is it going to be a weapon in that, like, our guys still aren't really guarding him? You know,
I
don't know how much
that's a great point. LeBron was like, take that all day long.
Go ahead. Yeah, so I don't know how long that takes, like how many nights he's got to show it, but it feels like a lot because those guys still aren't giving him the respect of somebody that's hitting that many shots, and he's gonna have to do that over and over and over again for it to really change something, I think. I mean, that's found money, as they said on the broadcast last night. So it's great. It's great for MKG. I just don't know what immediate impact it's going to have, on this team right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a question I think that can go across the Charlotte Hornets offense right now, right, David? Because it's been so heavily dependent on the mid-range shot. They've been putting up great numbers offensively. It's been defense. It's been a struggle for them, right? But so much of that offense has come from Jeremy Lamb's mid-range shots, from MKG's mid-range shots, from Kemba Walker getting into the lane and getting fouled, and from Frank Kaminsky getting into the lane and hitting floaters. It hasn't been Frank Kaminsky's outside jump shot that's been fueling his offense this season. It's been what he's been able to do inside. So how sustainable is that? Right now, the Hornets are 20th in the league in three-pointers attempted. And let me get the final number here. I had it written down. I know they're 28th in the league in the second half on three-point percentage at 28.8%. And then in this game, 23.1% from beyond the arc. Steve Clifford, after the game, sounded confident that they could rebound in terms of their shooting because it's not only guys like Frank Kaminsky missing outside shots, it's Malik Monk, 1 of 3 from the field in this one. It's Kemba Walker, 3 of 9 from the field, and getting open looks. I think that's key. I mean, they're just not knocking down open shots. And if your second unit defense is going to let you down consistently, game after game, late in the third quarter, early in the fourth, then unfortunately it's on the starters. It's on guys like Malik Monk, who only got 9 minutes in this game.
Yeah, he and Bacon both only got about 20 minutes combined. There were a lot of questions coming out of that, but I think when you factor in Batum coming back, you got MKG, you got Lamb. Like, there's only some minutes on that wing to go around, Doug. So I don't know what the solution is to that. We didn't see MCW last night, and you'd think that second unit really needs somebody to just organize it, among other things. So I don't know what kind of effect that's going to have on those two young guys. They've earned some playing time, but look, they're not going to be able to be effective in those type of games. It feels like with like 8 minutes here and there. But I don't know what else you do, because if Batum is healthy and ready to go, you saw the impact he had early on last night.
Yeah, and Walker and Daniel on the live chat saying Cliff has been going with Frank Kaminsky for too long in stretches and should bring Marvin back in quicker. Actually, they played Marvin and Frank Kaminsky together in that third quarter, trying to figure out that was partly because Dwight Howard was in foul trouble, and they were trying to match up with what Cleveland was doing because they were going small, going 5 out, which we know they're capable of doing. I mean, they were playing, that Love, Crowder, James, Shumpert, Smith lineup, and then, they can sub out Kyle Korver, Channing Frye, Jeff Green. All of those guys have the ability to knock down three-point shots. So this was going to be as you said, David, this was going to be a tough matchup regardless. But Frank Kaminsky, he did a good job of hitting three-point shots in the previous game in Boston, and then comes in this one and only attempts 1. His three-point shot has to be consistent and has to go down to again. It's the same story with Malik Monk. I mean, if they're going to have these defensive issues on the second unit, then when they get open shots, they have to knock them down. I will say it was encouraging to see in the first half when they had Batum and Lamb in together with that second unit, it seemed like the offense flowed a lot better. They got better shots. They got better looks. And the offense, that second unit offense, played a lot better than it did in the second half when they could not play Nick Batum as much. And that was another big story. Nick Batum getting 32 minutes in this one, David, only expected to get 20 to 22 minutes and gets 32. What did you think about that?
Surprising, I think, but they were going so well, and he felt good. So Cliff's going to listen to him, and Batum really wanted to play. Man, he had those 2 big turnovers late that did not help matters. But he was awesome to start the game. You saw the difference he could make right away. I do think that's something else to keep in mind. They're just getting Batum back in here. This team is at its best, obviously, at full strength, which goes for everyone. But more so for this team, they really need everybody to be back in there. And he creates so much for other guys. And his defense was pretty locked in to start the game last night, which I wasn't expecting to see right off that. But I do think that's going to help them when they get in a bit more of a groove. I think it's good. They still want to be mindful of it, but if he's feeling good, it looks like Cliff's going to let him go.
Well, he was feeling good in the first half when he had 15 points, but then in the second half, and especially in that fourth quarter when he got those final minutes, he did look fatigued. He did look like, okay, game speed different from practice speed, was 1 of 6 from beyond the arc, definitely did not help the total 3-point percentage for the Charlotte Hornets, but you heard Clifford after the game say essentially that they're going to play their older guys more minutes. Clifford has desperately wanted to get to playing groups, to getting veterans back in this lineup, and I think it will mean less minutes for Bacon, for Monk, who I think Monk is going to be, I think he has the potential to be a really good player in the league, possibly a future star, okay? But right now, I don't think he's shown enough offensively in terms of consistency with that shot to justify what he does defensively, which is he hurts you, right? Am I wrong on that?
He's struggling to find his way on the defensive end, I think. And I think it's going to be one of those things
where have the offensive performances been, other than that Milwaukee game when he took over in the fourth quarter, where have the offensive performances been night in, night out, where you go,
right,
okay.
Well, he got going in the Knicks game in the first half. I mean, he's had stretches, but I think that's what you're going to see. He's able to get hot really fast. So if he hits a couple buckets in a row and he's feeling it, then I think he's going to earn a little more playing time. And that second unit being what it is, which is inconsistent right now, I think they're still going to get their looks. It's just going to be in smaller chunks. I mean, that's the only way to slice it up when you've got that much depth on the wing right now. It's good that they got some playing time early. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, Monk, you put Monk into that game, and unless he gets on fire right away, they need someone else to try and slow down those guys firing threes away for the Cavs last night. So it's just a tough situation. I think it's a good problem to have, but they can afford to be a little more patient with them. Right now. I mean, Doug, the bench last night, if you factor in Lamb, who is a de facto starter, I know he didn't play quite the same amount of minutes he did to start the season, down around 20 from 30, but he was the only guy that was really effective scoring the ball for the bench. I think Frank had 7 other guys chipped in here and there, but the defense and the scoring consistency, the rebounding are the big issues sticking out with that second unit right now.
Couple more comments from the live chat. We've got Mark saying, if our new offense is going to be based on constantly feeding the ball inside to Dwight, it's going to be a long season. I haven't seen that. I mean, I haven't seen them constantly feeding the ball inside to
touches.
Dwight. Well, I mean,
right.
Look, you got to get him some touches, but I haven't seen I haven't seen it disrupt what the starting unit has tried to do offensively. I think that,
again, the offense is not the problem, right?
Yeah,
you go back to this last year.
Yeah, I haven't seen that much, and he was 3 of 5, and he had a few more attempts that got him to the free throw line where he is naturally struggling, but I haven't seen that as much.
That's a tough matchup for Dwight. I'm sure you hit on that before the game, Doug, but you saw the difference, him trying to cover Love, and when the Cavs go kind of small, which they really do all the time. It's what helped Dwight.
It's what helped get him into foul trouble, because that fourth foul he missed. He missed the cut by Love on the give and go, and was way behind the play and had to foul. Otherwise, it was going to be an easy 2 for Love. So it was plays like that where it was clear just the quickness of Cleveland was getting him on some of these plays. Though he did do a good job, I will give him this. He did do a good job in the fourth quarter of going one-on-one with LeBron. That was kind of fun to watch. He got 3 or 4, and LeBron tried to do that on Cody Zeller, and he does this LeBron does this thing like 1 or 2 times a game where he gets a switch on a big. He did this against Kristaps in New York and shot it over the top, and he did it to Dirk where he threw down the monster jam getting past Dirk Nowitzki. So he does this like 1 or 2. It's like, I'm going to put on a show, and Zeller did a good job of staying with it, and Dwight did too. I asked Dwight after the game what was, when he got that switch, what was going through his mind when he got those few opportunities to guard LeBron James. And LeBron went 0-3 in those matchups. Here's what he had to say.
Locked him up.
3 trophies. I said Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm not afraid to guard anybody. No matter if it's the best player in the world or my mom. I'm treat them the same way. But no, the only thing going through my head was get this stop. I know that I'm quick enough to stay in front of him and long enough to contest his shots. So the main thing with me was just making sure he takes tough shots and not going for any of the shot fakes and stuff like that, staying down, making him shoot over the top of me. I go to the White House.
Facts.
If you didn't hear the beginning of that soundbite because David jumped all over it, he said what was going through his mind when he was going up against LeBron James was that referring to himself, he said, I've got 3 Defensive Player of the Year trophies. He's not going to back. He's not backing down. It's confident.
You know what's insane?
Dwight Howard, confident.
Dwight is the only guy that looks like he physically matches up with LeBron. I mean, that's how crazy it is. Those 2 guys, their shoulders are massive. But he's going to give everyone problems. MKG does his best, but like you can see the physicality even between LeBron and MKG, just how big he is, man. He bounces off of him. I mean, it's crazy. And MKG is a solid defender, but LeBron is just too much when he's getting going towards the basket. Kudos to Kemba, I think, for standing in there on a couple of those charges, man. He took 1 or 2 attempts with LeBron barreling right down at him, which says a lot, for Kemba being the captain and this team and stuff. So it's dangerous. It's terrifying.
He absolutely stepped in front of a freight train.
Yeah.
On that LeBron James drive, took it, and MKG then picking up the crafty LeBron James giving him the old chicken wing, and MKG doing a great job selling it. And I thought it was an offensive foul, but MKG definitely doing a good job selling it as well. LeBron not happy with that fourth. He immediately thought about it, and he was like, I'm not going to pick up this technical. Immediately ran over and checked out of the game and didn't come back until later on.
Well, he had some more things to say once he got to the bench. A couple things over and over and over again about his thoughts on that call.
Right. Well, that's
his. Hey,
that's kind of his MO, right? I mean, he complains about calls.
That's how it was.
That's what superstars do. Michael Jordan did that all the time. That's what superstars complain about calls. Like I
don't care about him complaining.
We're pretending like this is like a new thing with LeBron James. Like it's ever going to change. That's what I don't get about people who get upset with LeBron James or Tim Duncan did it all the time too. He just did it in a more subtle kind of funny way with those big eyeballs on the ref. But it's like, this is not a new thing. Like, this is what they do. This is what they always do. This is what they'll do until if Malik Monk turns into a superstar, he'll complain about calls too.
Well, I was glad to see Kemba get a little frisky and get towards the basket and get some of those shots to go in. That's something that's disappeared over the last few games, I feel like, from him. His shot was still a bit hit or miss. I think that's going to come back around, but he was getting to the basket more, trying to make a few more things happen off the dribble.
Rich brings up a good point here on the live chat. Could we do with a banger at power forward for the second unit? That's my thing about Malik Monk. Like, could you play Malik Monk more on the second unit in a lineup that had a physical presence underneath, whether that's at the 4, the 5, or the 3? If they had someone that you could put on a primary wing that wasn't Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, if they had someone that did have a physical presence underneath the rim, could you play Malik Monk more? I think that's a fair question. But right now, they're struggling enough with defense on the second unit. They're struggling enough with rebounding on the second unit. And Malik Monk, unfortunately, does not offer you either of those things on any given night. And his shot has been inconsistent. And again, I'm just pointing out what the realities are. It's really not an indication of what I think Malik Monk will eventually become. I think it sort of highlights what Steve Clifford has been talking about with, Malik Monk needing to work on his ball handling, to work on his point guard skills because of his physical profile. It's going to be very tough for him to play at the 2 position, and I think you're going to see that through the season. That there's going to be a lot of learning for Malik Monk. He did play, Michael Carter-Williams got 0 minutes in this game.
Right.
So he's going to play.
Which is interesting. It's going to be situational, right, Doug? I mean, I think he's still going to get the minutes. He's still going to get the looks, but it's going to be situational. Look at that second unit for Cleveland. That's a lot of big guys out there. So, and they're already getting killed on the boards, as you mentioned. So it's tough.
David, you got to go. I know that. So we're going to look on Friday.
James and I do have to go.
Yeah,
he says bye.
On Friday, we're going to look ahead, and because the situation does not get any easier for the Hornets. We'll do that tomorrow. But final thoughts from you on this game against Cleveland.
It was Cleveland, guys. I know it's getting old losing some of these games and having a shot at them, but Cleveland's not exactly the get-right team. Chicago will be a better test of where this team is, right? That's right, James.
There you go. Final thoughts from David and James. And I'll say this. I'm looking at that. If you want to look at optimism, look at that first half. Look at what Batum and Lamb were able to do on the second unit. And if you want to be pessimistic, you can definitely, I think it's fair, honestly, to look at that second half, especially the end of that third quarter, going into the beginning of that fourth quarter. I think the Hornets have systemic problems with their second unit. It's impossible for them right now to play a full bench unit. And that's a problem in November. It will be less of a problem in February, in March. And that's when the schedule gets easier. That's when you'll see the rotation start to trim down to 8-9 players. And you're going to see big minutes for the starters. If the starters can stay healthy, they're going to make up some. I think the Hornets will definitely make up some ground at the end of January, going into February, into March. So if you want to be optimistic, I think you can look at that. If you want, that's what the Hornets are being fair. They're being equitable right now to both the optimist and the pessimist, giving them plenty of reasons to embrace them. I will say, love the jerseys, love Classic Night. Let's see those more often next. I can see why they held off on showing those, David, because they're making me want to see them all the time.
They were good. Yeah, I think Batum's a good point. Remember that, too. He was really good to start the game. I think that's only going to get better. So that's something to take solace in as well.
All right, we'll end here on John. John says, we are at our best when we attack the paint and then pass out to open shooters, dump offs to the big men. The bench unit is way too jump shot happy, and that's why they struggle at times. So there you go. We'll end on that. And real quick, make sure you visited our TeePublic page, teepublic.com/stores/locked-on-Hornets, or just go to teepublic.com and search Locked On Hornets, or click the link in our description to go get you a t-shirt. And all the proceeds for that go to helping make this show better. Subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/LOH. Your support helps make this show happen. Thanks so much for watching and listening to us here on Locked On Hornets. We're back again tomorrow. Fun Friday. We'll preview this game coming up against the Chicago Bulls. That ought to be fun because the Bulls are 2-10, and they're on a 5-game losing streak too. So it's a it's a what's got to give game there in Chicago. So we'll preview that tomorrow. Shoot us your Hornets questions and thoughts to buzzbuzz@lockedonhornets.com. Thanks again to our sponsor, Discovering CLT on Instagram. For David, I'm Doug. Go Hornets. Go America. Let's swarm Charlotte.